Craig, thank you so much for joining us. We enjoyed getting to see you guys in person now in Austin. Now, I'm sure you guys are excited to make the trip here to Tuscaloosa, but thank you for joining us today.
My pleasure, Roger. You're right about that. I think we're all excited about the trip in and looking forward to perhaps some more in the coming seasons, obviously, depending on how that scheduling rotation works.
Well, we're certainly glad to welcome you to the SEC starting next season. But yes, these last couple of years, we have gotten a taste of Alabama against Texas in the regular season. What are your main takeaways from last year's game? Obviously, it was close, the Quinn Ewers injury, but how did Longhorn fans react to what they saw in Austin week 2 a year ago?
Well, I think they were encouraged, obviously, Ewers' injury notwithstanding, and I think they felt like had Quinn stayed healthy, they might have had a real opportunity to win the game. They did just only lose by a point, and there were some key moments in the game that flipped that. Of course, it's early season football, and as we know, it changes during the course of the season. The Longhorns had some up and down moments during the season last year. Had a great win over Oklahoma, but then had some disappointing losses along the way as well. So I think what Longhorn fans are hoping is that this will be a good performance and maybe a tone setter for the rest of the year instead of one good performance, even in defeat, of an otherwise mostly up, but a little bit down season last year.
Well, we saw the Longhorns in week 1 get a victory against Rice. What stood out to you about what you saw on Saturday from the Longhorns?
Well, defensively, I think they were outstanding. They really did a good job. Rice had trouble moving the football all the way until their final drive, and that was against largely backup players, second team, third team, and some freshmen. They played 30 players on defense in the first half alone, and I think Sark told us afterwards they played 7 or 8 true freshmen just on defense alone in the game. So when it mattered most, obviously, in the first quarter, second and third, I think the defense was on par. Now, by Sark's own admission, the offense kind of had fits and starts. He said, I'm not sure what was lacking there with some of the execution, and there was some misconnection on some routes, on some passes thrown. But even in addition to that, there were some things that happened with the offensive line that they weren't expecting. Didn't perform quite the way they wanted to. It got better in the third quarter when they had the 3 consecutive drives for touchdowns. But I think Sark is looking for more. He said so as much in his news conference this week, and has said that they need to be better. They're going to have to play a lot better to have an opportunity to be in the game, to give them a chance to win in this contest.
Looking at the skill players on offense, one notable name is gone from a year ago in Bijan Robinson. Who's trying to fill his shoes at running back?
Well, I think it's got to be by committee, Roger, because it would take a committee to do the things that Bijan did last year. And for that matter, also Roschon Johnson and what he did in a supplementary role there. They've got 4 guys. All 4 saw action last Saturday against Rice. Jonathan Brooks, C.J. Baxter, the freshman from Orlando, started and had some good runs. The last run, he had a 32-yard run. He came down on the football kind of on the side, left the game, didn't come back. But Sark said it in his news conference this week that Baxter had returned to practice. He should be good to go. I think between Baxter and Jonathan Brooks, who scored the first touchdown on the screen pass, those will be the main guys who will carry the football. But Keelan Robinson has been a good change of pace back, and will flex him out. Of course, he was with Sark at Alabama when Sark was on Coach Saban's staff a few years ago. And Jaden Blue is another guy who showed some flashes, a guy who is a sophomore. So I think it would take all 4 of them probably to try to see if they can emulate the role that Bijan Robinson had for Texas a year ago.
Well, speaking of a year ago against Alabama, really good performance by Xavier Worthy, Jordan Whittington as well. Are those some of the main targets on offense for Quinn Ewers?
I think so. And Xavier Worthy broke a hand during the season later and just wasn't himself. And folks were wondering why there were some drop passes in the Alamo Bowl and a couple of the games as well. He's back. He's healthy. He had a big game with the 7 catches last Saturday. But also the Georgia transfer that Alabama fans are very familiar with, A.D. Mitchell, or as he's asked us to call him, at least in first reference, Adonai Mitchell. And he had a big game and had a touchdown catch as well. I think those would be the 2 biggest deep threats. They like to use the tight end. I think Jatavian Sanders can be a good weapon for them. He had a 44-yard catch and run for a touchdown on a seam route down the middle. So I think those are probably the 3 biggest receiving targets. And Jordan Whittington clearly in the slot is a very reliable, dependable fifth-year senior that they go to quite often.
Well, again, it's a different year for Texas. The final year in the Big 12. Just what's the reaction around this program, the fans in Austin, about going through a season like this for the last time, and then knowing that the SEC is just around the corner next year?
You know what, Roger? I'm going to be as honest as I can be about this. They are Texas fans. I'm not going to speak for everyone, but I think by and large, they're done with the Big 12. They're ready to move on. They know that the challenges of the SEC are there and they're going to be steep, but they've had enough of the Big 12, and they're ready for this brand new challenge. So this season, they're going to places, especially in the state of Texas, that they may never go to again. They may never go another 100 miles up the road to Waco or 200 miles up to Fort Worth ever again. I think last year, folks said they were done with Lubbock, especially the way that a lot of the fans were treated up there. They know it's not a garden party in the SEC. They understand that. But I think they're ready for the new challenges. I think they're ready for the new experiences of going to Tuscaloosa, of going to Baton Rouge, to going to the Grove, to going to all of those different places. Ironically, next year, the road trips, there's only one on the road that's really out of the norm for them, and that's going to Nashville to play Vanderbilt. They go to Arkansas, which they've been to before. The game with Texas A&M, as they redo the rivalry with the Aggies, is a road game, and Oklahoma is in Dallas every year. So those other two big rivals, Texas A&M and Arkansas, they're as well as the game with OU, they're all away from Austin, but they get Georgia at home, they get Florida at home, and then they have that road trip. They get Kentucky at home, and they have that road trip to Vanderbilt. But you might say it's kind of a slow ramp up in terms of the road thing, other than what they're normally accustomed to doing.
Absolutely. Well, we're excited that the Longhorns are about to be in the SEC. And once again, it's good for Alabama to face Steve Sarkisian once again after a great run for him as the offensive coordinator. He goes to Texas, and now he's getting set for this new season. How do you continue to see him grow as a head coach? Obviously, he had a lot of great experience even as a head coach before, but how is he still putting his imprint on this program?
He feels the best he's felt about the program since he took the job, because now, by and large, the players are his players, the ones he recruited, the ones he brought in either as freshmen or through the transfer portal. They're his players. There are, I think, 13 regular players who stuck it out, stayed all the way through it, who were recruited and actually in most cases played for Tom Herman before Sark arrived. But they have stayed the course, and they have wanted to be a part of this program. The old thing about buying in, he said those guys bought in a long time ago. It was just a matter of who was going to step up and play. Well, they've got a few players, including some starters, who actually were recruited prior to Sark's arrival getting in Austin. But they have proven themselves. He's happy to have them in there mixed in with his guys that he recruited and what he feels are going to be helping him and this program take that next big step.
Well, Craig, we're excited. We've been talking about this game seemingly since last year's game ended, but certainly all throughout the offseason. It's Texas, it's Alabama. We look forward to hosting you guys in Tuscaloosa on Saturday. Just safe travels up here, and thank you for your visit today on the Crimson Tide Sports Network. Thank you.
My pleasure, Roger. Looking forward to it. Thank you.